Well, hello, everyone out there in podcast land. Get ready for another episode of the Get Happy Podcast with moi, your host, Rudrani Davy. Yes, I know, it's me again. How you doing, people? And today, I'm so excited about this lovely lady. I have the fabulous Katherine McIntish with me, another colleague of mine with Access Consciousness. And I am so excited because I love this lady and I know the delightful conversation we are going to have. No pressure. Thank you so much for joining us.
I'm so grateful to be here. Thank you so much. I just adore you and adore the conversations we have. So,
oh my goddess, me too. This is like the adoration club, people. You have no idea. I can't wait till I can hug your juicy body again.
I know.
These days. So if you guys haven't guessed, yes, we're still in a little bit of lockdown. Things are opening up a little bit. It's April 23rd, 2021. For those of you listening in the future, if we happen to be out in the world without masks by now, that's the way it goes. So, my dear, would you mind terribly sharing with the Podland people who you be, what you do, all the things?
Well, the quick version, I'll try.
So you take your time, darling.
Yeah. So I'm, a mama bear, and I started facilitating access consciousness and the tools of access consciousness and became a certified facilitator right after my son was born. So I flew to Rome without any money in my pocket on a credit card, got to Rome, and it's a really long story, which we could probably tell another day, but I basically used the tools to get me out of a pretty tough situation where I didn't have enough money on my credit card. And the place that I was staying, I was staying with a friend, and she ended up giving some guy overseas money. I'm like, never give somebody cash overseas. So I'm on the tarmac with my son, who's 5 months old, on my lap, flying to Rome for the first time to become an Access certified facilitator. This is 8 years ago. And I get a text from her, and she's like, we don't have a place to stay. And I am like on the plane leaving Denver with a newborn going, okay, it's okay. It's going to be okay. So basically I have had the fortune for the last 8 years to travel around the world, not including COVID, but to facilitate the tools of access and to facilitate just people, getting happy in their bodies. My whole thing is I hated my body. I hated what I looked like. I hated everything about me. And it really ruled my life in a way that I had no idea how much energy and time and effort I was giving to judging my body. And so, I sort of woke up with these tools going, okay, if I could change one thing in my life, it would be my body. But secretly in the back of my head, I was like, there's no way. There's no way I could change my relationship with my body. I'll pretend to do the tools. I'll pretend to make it work. And I had this epiphany when my son was 2 months old, and it sort of changed the course of my life. I was, in the mirror, judging my body, swearing at myself in the mirror. I couldn't get my skinny jeans on. I was a brand new mom, and I had this expectation that I should have my old body back, and I didn't. And I literally threw a temper tantrum, and all of a sudden 5 minutes later, I go, oh my God, I completely forgot my son was even there, because I was so in this crazy world of downward spiraling crap. And I looked over, and it was just this light bulb went off, and I went, wow, if I just spent 5 minutes missing out on receiving my 2-month-old son, who was literally sitting on the floor beaming at me, beaming gratitude, beaming a smile, beaming Mom, you're beautiful. I was like, what have I spent the last 20 years of my life missing out on? So I've had the fortune of traveling around the world and teaching these tools in relationship to how do you get out of judgment with your body and actually truly like it. It isn't about a diet. It isn't about losing weight. It isn't about the food you're eating. It's about a peace of mind that, from my perspective, I never thought was possible. Right? I never thought was possible. And the day that it changed, I went, oh my God, who else out there is in my situation that has
most of the world, my dear, most of the world. And, and it's interesting. If you notice that you teach what you most want to learn,
we teach what we most need, I think, you know?
True story. I mean, I find myself in that situation as well. It's like with Right Voice when I decided to be a Right Voice facilitator, and now Relationship Done Different facilitator. There were so many pearls of wisdom that came with those classes I had to take before I could facilitate it, that, you know, puts us in the space of finding those that are seeking the same.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and this whole thing, for those of you that are watching this on YouTube, check this lady out. Is she not gorgeous? I mean, I can't imagine someone like you having a body image, and that you know, body image issues or whatever you want to call them. And yet, you know, we see even model pretty or models that go through the same thing. And what advice would you give them now that you know some of the access tools? I mean, can you share a little bit about what you're actually creating for these people and changing their world?
Well, you know, it's funny because I just read an article on Yahoo, like on news. You know, I'm the junkie that if I like see something about weight or body image and like a star or famous person going through a struggle. So it was Chrissy Teigen commenting on like one of the Kardashians, like Khloe Kardashian, didn't like a photo that was posted of her because she didn't feel like it was edited enough and she felt really vulnerable. And so Chrissy was like, it brought up all this insecurity of how much we like mold the image of who we present to the world in a way that's pleasing, rather than just being with what is and letting that be the version that's the loudest, right? And so we've been trained to show the like prettiest version or the most cut version or the most like Photoshop version, when the reality is like, what does it mean to really just be in relationship with our body? So what advice I would give is, it's not about losing weight. It's not about even changing your shape. It's about developing a relationship with your body that is your long-term best friend. And most of us aren't taught to develop a relationship with our bodies. We're taught to feed it, judge it, demand of it, like overstuff it, and then deprive it, and then like judge it. And so really it's this, you know, it's a personal journey for everyone. But I think the biggest thing is it's never about a quick fix, because I think anyone watching has probably had the experience who can resonate with the story of going on the diet and losing the weight and still not liking what they looked like, right, and still not feeling satisfied. I was the girl who got to 96 pounds and woke up in a hospital bed with IVs hooked up to me going, and I literally was like, I said the F word and I was like, oh my God, it didn't work. Starving myself to death didn't work. I didn't die, in other words. No, I didn't want to die. I mean, okay, maybe, but starving myself to death did not make me feel better about myself. Like, it didn't matter what size I was. It still was this place of this feeling inside that something was missing. Mm-hmm. And, you know, what was missing was joy and gratitude. What was missing was having fun. What was missing was stop worrying about 1 freaking pound. You know what I mean? Like, you know.
What got you on the road to actualizing that reality for you, knowing what to do next? Or
so it was the moment in the mirror with my son, and I had this light bulb moment. I wasn't yet an Access Consciousness certified facilitator, but I was, you know, doing the bars and teaching the bars. I was a hairdresser. I was doing energy work on the side, and I taught dance classes. So I kind of had a full plate. And in that moment in the mirror, I went, oh my God, I've spent 20 years hating myself, and it didn't matter what size or shape. So I went, ding, ding, ding. I'm going to put myself on a year-long no judgment diet. And that's actually how I birthed the brand, the No Judgment Diet. And so my rule for myself was, I couldn't look in the mirror and entertain judgment. So if I was going to look in the mirror, I couldn't go, oh my God, look at that cellulite. Oh my God, look at the size of my butt. Oh my God, look at my stomach. Oh my God, look at your boobs sagging because you are nursing. Like, I was like, I am only allowed to look in the mirror and find something that I can be grateful for.
I love it.
And what happened, Ronnie, really, like when I say it changed my life, it literally changed my life, because I went from probably spending 10 to 12 hours a day obsessing over, should I eat that? Should I not eat that? What does my butt look like in my jeans? Are people staring at my boobs? Like I was the girl who was like compulsively obsessive.
They were staring at your boobs. We're like, look at those beautiful boobs. Oh my God, I'm such a contribution, those boobs. Anyway, just saying. I don't,
but I was the compulsive obsessive girl. And when I went on this no judgment diet, it was hard at first, because at first I couldn't find things to be grateful for. I literally would look in the mirror and be like, and then finally I was like, okay, I can start with your eyes. You have great eyes. Oh, I can start with your smile. You have a great smile. Oh, I can start with, like your freckles. Like that is where I could start. So
You're talking about me. No, I'm just joking.
Yeah. So I started there, and then eventually I could look in the mirror, and although I didn't like looking at my legs, because that was my, judgment area, I would look in the mirror and go, those legs, they hiked Machu Picchu, like with a 60-pound pack on your back. Those legs rode mountain bikes up mountains that most people wouldn't ever do. Those legs scored the game-winning goal to win state in your soccer championship. So I started to be grateful for what my body could do rather than fake, because I would look in the mirror and I'd be like, yeah, sorry, I can't be grateful for what I'm looking at, right? So I had to be grateful for what it started to do. And as I chose to be grateful for what it could do, I'm not joking. And this is what happened. I had one moment in the mirror. I was probably looking at my problem areas, which is for me is backs of legs and butt. And I was looking at it.
Like no other woman.
It literally, yeah, like every woman in America or in the world. And I literally was like watching it physically change in the mirror. And I was like, wait, what? And I realized that when you take judgment off of your body can transform really quickly.
Huh. I love that. Like a mutation.
A total mutation. And here's what was even crazier is when the body started to change, all of a sudden, I stopped judging my body, and I had all this energy to create a business. I had all this energy to be present with my family. I had all this energy to dive into things that I had put off for years because I decided I didn't have the time. It wasn't that I didn't have the time. I was mentally a basket case and didn't create the space to have choice. So that was like the light bulb moment for me.
So I love what you said, and I want the listeners to hear this again. Choice. Okay, choice creates. If you really want to change something, you have to choose it. I mean, this is what I know. If you really want to change your body and it's not changing it, then you're not choosing it.
Yeah.
Because I feel the same way. I was told I would never walk again. When my right femur got shattered by a bullet. I'm pretty sure most of you know my story. And if you don't, just Google my name. You'll get the story. But AK-47 shattered my right femur. And I was told I would never walk again, which you don't tell somebody like me, And I was like talking to my body every day, doing these little deal and delivers. Okay, what do you require from me? What do I need to do? I had this little ultrasound machine that I had to use on my leg 3 times a day. I was getting in my sauna, to try to get the toxins out of my body from the shrapnel and all of that. I was going to do PT 3 times a week. I remember I could drive before I could walk. So when I could finally get to the point where I could take myself to PT, I would have the wheelchair, put the walker between my legs, roll out to the car, throw the walker in, lift myself up into the car, lift the wheelchair up into the car. I go drive to the doctor at Perseverance, because it was that thing where I chose it. So then here I am with this toothpick leg and this regular size leg, right? And I decided I'm going to run the Boston Marathon because I was training for it when I got shot. Adidas heard my story. They gave me a hard luck pass. My trainer, who also wasn't sure I could do it, trained me And I want to acknowledge the reason why both my legs are the same size now, because they told me, they will never be the same again. I had to wear prostheses over that leg to keep it together for a little over 2 years. So bed sores, horrible stuff. But the thing is I realize now, people are like, how could you do it? How could you do it? And I have to acknowledge now that I chose it, that it really was a choice. And choice does change. My toothpick leg became a regular leg. You watched your body physically mutating in front of your very eyes. And judgment, the thing about judgment, at least in my interesting point of view, is that's the worst impalement and evil you can do to yourself, is to judge you.
Gary says
your body's with you all the time.
Yeah.
Why would you judge it? And please tell me what Gary says.
Gary, the founder of Access, he says, if you're judging you, you're putting evil out into the world.
Exactly.
Right. And I want to say a little bit more about this choice thing, which it's so right on. And so most of us are programmed to choose a choice based on the result we think we'll get. Right. So, you say, just choose it. People are like, okay, well, I'm choosing a diet, but the diet's not working. And you're like, no, it's actually it's almost challenging to describe it, but it's the intrinsic choice to do whatever it takes to get out of the pattern, right? To not buy the lie, to not buy, like what you could have done with your leg is you could have been, okay, I'm never going to be able to walk again. Doctors are right. Medicine is right. Everybody's right. But in your gut, there was a choice that you knew you were going to make no matter what anyone else said. And that when we get to that place with choice, everything in our lives can change. And so it's not the choice for the superficial result. It's not the choice to prove somebody else wrong. It's the choice of like, I'm going to dig so freaking deep inside of myself and find this energy that I know is there, and no one is going to stop me.
I love the way you put that, because it's interesting when I say I chose it. The thing is when people would ask me, I would say, well, I didn't have a choice. My job was to heal, which is so funny to think that it was not a choice, that I had to do it. It was like, I don't have a choice. If I don't go to the doctors and I don't do this and I don't do that. And the thing is before I even knew it, I was following the energy, which is how I make my choices. If something makes me feel light, I go in that direction. It may not even as you were saying, it never shows up the way you think it's going to, at least not for me. And so it would feel light and I'd go there and be like, well, what was this about? But it always seems to lead to another choice. Something else shows up in my world, and it's, I was introduced to Access Consciousness in 2003. And I remember that freaking long clearing statement. And so I was using all these different things from Access, but I hadn't leaped into Access. And it wasn't until I was shot in 2008. And it wasn't until I ran the Boston in 2011 that I went looking for Access Consciousness. I was like, what was that statement? And I found it in my filing cabinet under the clearing statement, because I am that person that just I'm an over organizer so that I can be as chaotic as possible. So I'll know where everything is, right? ADD, ADHD, I'm sure. And I find the folder that has a clearing statement. It was like 3 pages long. And now all you have to do is say PodPoc. So if you guys want to know what we're talking about, theclearingstatement.com. Dr. Dane here, the co-founder of Access Consciousness, explains it brilliantly. So yeah, please don't go look for it. It's like waving a magic wand to clear things. And it wasn't until then that I started looking. I got online, found a bars and a level 1 and 2, which is now foundation. And I was just going to take the bars. And then I was like, hell to the no, I got to take all this. And then of course, immediately had to take COP and all the things, but it was this acknowledgement of, oh my gosh, you've already sort of been doing this, because people were always asking me why I chose what I chose. And I would be like, well, it's fun or whatever. A lot of times I had no way of knowing why I chose it. If you read my book, which is the reason why this Get Happy podcast is here, called Choosing Happiness, my little happy little yellow book. I mean, it's a pretty quick read. It's actually out on audio now, and it speaks Spanish and Portuguese as well. But I mean, if you read through it, I mean, it's the tools of access, Access 101. If you have somebody in your world that you're doing access and they're like, what is this access stuff? Give them this book, because it's very lay term oriented, very friendly. And I basically, I'm going to pod and pocket before I even say, I kind of throw myself under the bus, all the things to do to use the tools for and against you in access. And it's very pragmatic stuff, you know? And I love that you created this specialty class around this. It was like you were facilitating yourself. You got the tools of access and then you started facilitating yourself. So is there a tool that just really pops for you that you want to share besides the no judgment part?
Yeah, I mean, you know, and it's a tool kind of, I mean, I think Dane's talked about, but something that I kind of came up with in the very beginning of doing this in the mirror with myself was like, stop it. Right. So when we talk about choice, we oftentimes forget that when we're in the middle of judging ourselves, we actually have a choice. When we're in the middle of, you know, a moment of depression or a moment of feeling sad or a moment of, we actually have a choice. And I think that, you know, with judgment, we tend to go, oh my God, yep, those are my thighs. I'm judging my thighs. I'm always going to judge my thighs. And it's like, stop it. You actually have a choice. And so I always just stop it is one of my favorite tools, because it literally, like, it rewires the brain to go, wait a second, you don't have to go down the rabbit hole of what you always do.
Right.
When something, you know, like I was the anorexic bulimic. So for me, it was like, if I overate, like, and this is in my 20s. So, you know, I'm now in my 40s. If I overate.
You're winning, girl.
What's that?
You're so winning.
Yes. Wow. So if I overate, you know, like by 2 bites a meal, I'd be like, oh my God, it's over. So then I would literally binge for the entire night.
Oh,
right?
Yeah, no, going back.
I was the extreme girl. So there was once I had crossed the line, it was like, welcome to the world of judgment. You're now in hell, right? And so for me, it was really helpful to know that if I crossed that line, I didn't have to go down the rabbit hole. I could actually stop it. And that for me was a really empowering moment. I mean, I have a psych background and a background in studying the psychology of the body. I have a background in shamanism and a background in dance movement therapy. And for me, you know, we're taught to go down those places.
Yeah, that's true.
Because why don't you explore it, get to the bottom of it, and it'll make you happier. And I spent my first year in grad school. I got done with grad school and I'd gained 15 pounds and I was the most depressed I'd ever been, because I spent an entire year literally in the rabbit hole going, okay, I don't feel any better. This actually feels way worse. So, you know, for me, that tool of stop it, but also the tool of not fake it till you make it, not pretend, but actually, can I have total gratitude for things that are true for me?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So can I have, like, so one of my favorite things, Rudrani, and I've been doing it as a daily practice as of late, is every 24 hours, 864 million cells that are in our body die, and 864 million new cells come in. So it's 10,000 cells every second.
Oh, heavens to
so in a 24-hour period, it's 864 million cells. And so my practice in the mornings, right when I wake up, I put one hand on my heart or on my chest and one hand on my belly. And I'm like, oh my gosh, 864 million new cells. Welcome. What would you like to contribute to? Like, so I literally am like, how much fun can we have with this new? And I'm telling you, it can change your age. It can change your cellulite. It can change your shape. It can change how you enjoy food. Because it literally is this like ding reminder.
Right when you dinged, my computer dinged. I don't know if you heard that.
I didn't.
An angel just got its wings. Just saying. I love it. I love it. So I love that tool. Stop. in the name of love for your body, you know.
Exactly.
We have a tendency to think that if we've just crossed the line a little bit, that it's over. And I intimately have had those moments as well. You know, it's kind of like, oh, well, I guess, you know, maybe tomorrow's a new day and I'll just start tomorrow. And how many of you have gone into that space of, you know, well, I'll start fresh again tomorrow. And then by the end of the day, you're like, oh, well, okay, maybe tomorrow. Or, well, what would you say to somebody that is in that headspace?
Well, I always, you know, I'm facilitating class right now called Underneath the Surface. And we've been going like, okay, we got this pattern, what's underneath it? So there was a woman who was, has been trying to fast for a 24-hour period for health reasons. And she said for 3 months, she's been trying to fast, and, you know, by mid to late afternoon or early evening, she gives into this judgment and into this anger that she didn't even know was present. Right. And so literally this week I was like, well, what's underneath? And she was like, anger. And I was like, so what if anger is okay? Like, what are you angry about? What if you throw an anger party and like label all the things you're pissed about instead of keeping it trapped? And guess what? She wrote me this long, amazing email. I cried. She's like, I've been trying to fast for 3 months because doctors diagnosed me with this and blah, 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 blah. And she's like, I did the fast. I didn't even think about it. It was so easy because I identified what was underneath. And what was underneath was the anger. So like a lot of people go, I want to lose weight. And it's like, nobody on the planet wants to go through the process of losing weight. Nobody wants to go in restriction and diets and hard workouts if you haven't done it before. Nobody wants to, yay, it's such a fun process, right? Nobody wants to do it, but they want what's underneath losing weight. They want to feel good in their clothes. They want to feel sexy in their body. They want to feel alive. They want to have more energy. And so I always tell people, what's underneath what you actually want? Because you say you want it, but we really don't want most of the things that we say we want, meaning we don't want the process of it.
Sure.
But we do want what's underneath the process.
And so when you get to the meat of that, then you have a chance to actually create what it is you say you desire to create. I love that.
Exactly.
So, you started with a story about being in an airport trying to get to
get to Rome
facilitators, and there was no place for you to go. And I'd kind of like you to finish that story because I don't know what happened to you.
Oh my goodness. So I'm sitting on the tarmac with a 5-month-old. The plane has left the gate. I've got my WhatsApp open. My friend is texting me saying, I'm in Rome. We don't have a place to stay. Right? We're going to split this place to stay. I had enough money to be able to go, had already paid for the training, put it all on a credit card because I didn't have money. My husband had quit his job when my son was 2 weeks old. I wasn't working. I mean, it was like do or die, right?
That's leap of faith right there, people. Did you hear all the things that say don't do it? And she's like, I'm going to do it anyway. And I just want to acknowledge that for you because that's amazing. And I am that crazy person also that signs up for classes and I don't know how I'm going to get there or where the money's going to come from. And it always shows up because I've chosen it. You know? Yeah. That's my interesting point of view.
And that's the beauty of choice, is choosing the energy first and allowing the magic or the process or the experience to unfold so you can have what you've already chosen, right? And so I'm sitting on the tarmac and I'm going, okay, use the tools. It's okay. Ask questions. And I was like, no, stop it. Give yourself you have 1 hour to totally freak out. You have 1 hour on this plane as this plane takes off with a 5-month-old in your lap to go, you're going to Rome for 6 days and you don't have a place to freaking stay. You have 1 hour to give yourself permission to totally freak out. So I did. But giving yourself permission, that hard edge disappeared. So it was like, okay, I let myself freak out. Now what? So in the air, I'm like, what else is possible? How's it getting better than this? Mm-hmm. Like, what's the greatest possibility? What's going to be the lightest choice? So I land in Frankfurt. I go to the internet cafe in Frankfurt and I'm like, looking, it's not ease. It's all heavy. I'm getting upset. And I was like, you know what? The lightest choice is to just get to Rome, to get a taxi and go to where the class is happening, to go to the venue. And you know what? I'll book a hotel for the night. So I get to the hotel, I get in, and I was like, you know, they speak Italian. I'm fluent in Spanish. So it was easier to speak Spanish. They understood me. I understood their Italian as well as possible.
Sure, sure.
And they're like, sorry, ma'am, the only room available in the whole hotel for the night is the presidential suite, and it's 750 euros for the night. And I was like, yeah, that's like all I have to my name right now, even on a credit card. And I was like, that's not going to happen. Right. So I'm asking, and I'm like, I have this baby. Is there any other option? And so finally they're like, all right, we'll give it to you. And I think they settled on like 175 euros. And I was like, done for the night. Right. So now I'm down to probably like 500 US dollars. I'm in Europe for 6 days. I'm going, I don't know how I'm going to make this, but I just trusted that it was going to be okay. So I end up paying for the hotel, and I turn around and there's my friend from Europe who I hadn't seen in a year. And she was just like beaming and glowing. She's like, oh my God, you're staying in this hotel. And I was like, well, only for the night. I actually don't know where I'm staying. And she literally was like, you can stay with me. And I was like, I have Duke, like I have a 5-month-old baby. Are you? And this is like a 60-something-year-old woman. And she literally went, I've never invited anyone to stay with me ever. She goes, it just came out of my mouth. And I was like, I would love to. And she goes, and actually it's my gift and I don't want you to pay.
Wow.
Now I ended up paying her later, like 6 months later. I was like, the kindness that you were to me in that moment, it changed my life. So not only did I have this amazing place to stay, I was staying in the venue where the class was with a 5-month-old. It was so much lighter and easier on my body. And it was a gift, but I just trusted that I knew that I had to go straight to the hotel instead of try to like be in the streets of Rome and go, oh, can I find a place to stay?
Maybe. You know, I don't know. What do I?
So, you know, and I never gave up when it was probably a 15-20 minute process at the front desk to get them to give me the presidential suite for 175 euros. But I wasn't fighting. I wasn't making them wrong. I just was like this space of, I'm a single mom with a 5-month-old here from coming. Like, I know it's going to work out whatever happens, and I'm not going to give up. And that was really, you know, and yeah, it created a miracle for me.
Yeah, that's following your knowing, people. When you trust your knowing, and you never know how it's going to show up, but it always works out. The universe has got you back. I love it. I love it.
Well, and to me, Ronnie, that's the magic of no judgment, right? Because when we're judging ourselves or judging a choice or judging our past or judging our clothes or judging that we're not enough or whatever somebody goes through on a daily basis a million times over every day, we're actually ignoring those whispers of awareness that are constantly inviting us to follow what we know, to follow those gut intuitions. And so if I'm too busy in, oh my gosh, what am I wearing? Oh my God, that makes your butt look too big, you know, like whatever. It's like if I'm in that, then I'm not paying attention to the things I'm asking for that will create the magic in my life.
True story. Listening to the whispers. That's how my book got written, actually. I had been, I was at a CF, actually, Certified Facilitators Training, y'all, in Costa Rica, sitting in the splash zone right in front of Gary Douglas, texting him in the middle of class, which is bad humanoid. You know, and I'm like, what would it take for me to write an access-friendly book? And he comes back with, choose, bitch. You know, and I was like, okay, that's permission. That's permission. So I kept talking to the book to see when it was ready to get started. And finally it shows up, and it was weird because it was around the 10-year anniversary of the terrorist attacks in India. And which is how I got shot, y'all. Like I said, just Google Ronnie Davey and Mumbai, and
it's an amazing story. So please take the time to do it, because it like your story is such an inspiration.
Well, thank you for
me
saying that.
and to so many people on the planet.
Thank you for saying that. And I will acknowledge it. You know, it's funny now because when I think about it, I feel like I'm talking about a Netflix movie because I don't feel like I'm really identifying with
it. Probably
Netflix
should be a
anymore.
Netflix movie.
Who knows what else is possible now? People out there wanting to make a movie about my life. But it was just funny. I kept talking to the book and saying, what's required? What's required? And finally I got, take a week off, take a whole week off. So that's what I did. I was at home because my first 2 books I went places so I could get away from all the distractions. But what I did is I put my phone away and I sat in front of a window where I could look outside and see my birds and, you know, bird feeders and all this stuff because nature and me were like this. And, and took that week off, didn't have any clients, was really good to myself. You know, at night I would have a nice meal that I would make for myself and, you know, decompress. And the book wrote itself in a week, in 1 week.
It's amazing.
And I put it aside. I'm like, okay, I have to reread through this. This can't possibly. And so I waited a whole week before I went back and read it. And I went, oh my God, who wrote this book? This is brilliant. You know, I'm being a little facetious, but I don't really recall writing it. Mm-hmm. It was that energy of, you know, being whatever was required for the book to write itself. And, you know, that's the whispers. That's how, I mean, Mother Nature's always whispering to me. I speak to my cat in images, you know, it's beautiful when you go to that space of following your knowing. And that's what it's like for me and for you when you went to Rome, which is beautiful. My whole family's from all over parts of Italy and I still have family in Rome. So yes, I'm an Italian with an Indian name living in America. Go figure. Wow.
Ding.
Yeah, ding. And another angel got its wings. So, well, this has been a phenomenal conversation. I could talk to you for days and days, and hopefully one day I'll be able to, or at least maybe not for days and days, but, you know, it'd be nice to actually be in each other's presence and share a meal, all the things. So who knows? Are you going to Mexico? Girl, it's on. So you guys, we're talking about Global Foundation, which is, I don't remember the dates exactly, but it's like it starts a week from today, I believe. Yeah. So guess what? We ask and you shall receive. Oh man, I can't wait. This is going to be so much fun. We got to play, girl. We got to play. So, okay. Where could my peeps find you if they were going to look you up?
Probably the easiest way is just KatherineMcIntish.com. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Facebook. Facebook, they can find me through the No Judgment Diet. So No Judgment Diet, I do lives on Facebook almost every day, 5 days a week. So just little tidbits, little things. So yeah, those are probably the best places to check out what I'm up to and yeah.
Well, girl, I'm going to go check you out for sure.
I'm going to go check you out.
Stop it. So, all right, you guys, if you enjoyed this conversation, please hit the like button. If you know anybody you'd like to share it with, do that as well. I don't know if Spotify is your world or Apple Podcasts. This will also be living on my YouTube channel. So subscribe if you dig it, and you will have more of this. How does it get any better? So thank you all for joining us. Thank you again, my lovely guest, Katherine, for joining us. And until next time, ciao, ciao for now. Mm-hmm.